what can we do with that? The last time we did this, our total borrow was about 700 and some thousand. But 700 some thousand won't even do the first 2 years of our capital outlay plan. So you have to spend the money within 3 years. One of my concerns always is that we don't borrow more than we can spend in that time period because, but what I mean by that is, can you schedule that work done?
Yeah,
Can you get enough contractors in here to do the work you
Yeah,
want them to
you
do?
can.
And not have your entire town tore up, you know, and the other issue is you don't
Or
want,
cost,
yeah,
because, oh yeah, we can move it up for another 30%.
right, and we don't want to redo all of our roads at the same time.
Yeah,
Because then you want to layer your treatments. So sometimes I suggest that we borrow like a lower amount, and that's why last time we did like 350, 380,000, and then 2 years later we did that again. But obviously the cost of fixing the roads is up, and I mean, honestly, we've done a pretty good job, but a lot of this is just maintenance stuff that's gonna have to be done. We're gonna continue to try to apply for the category B funding, which would pay for 50% of some of these road projects. But we can't borrow, assuming we're gonna get the grant. So we would just, if we do get a grant, then we would just be able to cut more off the pie later.
So if we borrow, does that affect our ability to get a grant?
No.
Okay.
No,
Because if they figure, oh, they got 1.5 million and we got a grant for 200,000, yeah, they don't need it.
they don't even ask that in the application.
Okay.
They don't ask that, but,
it's just less that we would use in the borrowing.
right, well, we would just be able to do more projects.
Yeah, you have.
We're not gonna be able to borrow enough money to fulfill this whole capital outlay plan.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
without going to the voters and asking for money to cover it, we wouldn't be. So my suggestion is that we borrow the money and pay it back with money we have. So like we get Act 51 money, and we get, you know, tax revenues now. And right now we put $25,000 a year to the streets from general fund. So instead of just throwing it in there, we could throw that towards a payment.
So if we bond, it's got to be capital improvement plan money.
Yeah, so if we borrow the money, when you do that, you have to tell them what your projects are.
Okay.
So you can't just borrow the money and then go, oh, well, I think we're gonna put a
Yeah,
swimming pool in
Let's
now.
build a new city hall.
Right, you have to, when you borrow the money, you have to put that referendum out there. It does not have to go to the voters. If we do Act 51 money, we can do it without even having a public hearing on it. But the finance guy, the advisors suggested that we use the capital improvement bonds because then we can do sidewalks, streets, and parking lots. If we use the Act 51 money, it's strictly streets. And it's less money available to pay it back. So when you look at how much money we get from Act 51, it's about, it looks like next year, we're gonna be around the $213,000 annually from Act 51.
Okay,
But
define Act 51. It's not ARPA, it's not,
no, it's the money that, it's gas tax,
Okay.
it's the sale, it's what any, like, so like the townships don't get Act 51 money, but cities
Cities
do,
do.
because we have, the counties do and cities do, because we have our own streets we have to take care of. So we get, it's based on your population. There's a whole giant formula.
so
that they
where does that
use.
money go now?
So
General,
right now it goes into.
general fund?
Nope, it goes into the major and local street
Okay.
funds. So that's the money that covers the street, the snow plowing, the, you know, the street lights, the labor, all of that money. And if you look at our budget, there's, we don't spend the entire, like, 150,000 that goes in a major street. We don't spend 150,000 on labor and snow plowing and that kind of
But
thing.
it does, majority, I'm sure.
But, right, but what doesn't get spent is sitting in the major street fund. And so that will build up over time, which it hasn't been building up because we were paying a bond payment with it. But now, though, like, we paid that off last year, and so now we're discussing doing it again.
Yeah, so
Right.
then go out and get some more money, and the financial instrument that paid for that money is still there.
Correct. And so over time, we, you know, our population has increased, and so we are getting a little more money from the Act 51 than we used to get. I think the state's also putting more money in there. So it used to be closer to 100,000 between the major and local, and now it looks like it's gonna be about 213. So.
So
um,
is this offer dated?
No, I told them that the intent was that we would probably borrow the money to start construction in 2023.
Okay,
But,
I'm just
so
looking,
what this would be,
I'm looking at the interest rate, and
Yep.
then I'm looking at, you know, prime moving up, and, you know, if we don't lock in now at 3.5, it's gonna be, you know,
which we
4.75.
could, I mean, we could borrow now and still not bid the project. We would just be paying interest for a few months.
And the clock starts ticking as soon as they make the payment, right? For the
Right.
3 years.
Yep. So, well, what happens is, so this is a couple months project to just get there.
Mhm.
So we probably could have the money in our hands by July or August if we move forward right now.
Yeah, and no contractors until,
Right, and then next, if we probably wouldn't hire anyone to do any work until next spring unless something came up with chip and
Hopefully.
fog or something like
The
that.
next year will be easier than the past couple of years, though.
Right, but
getting
like
people.
Brian's saying that, you know, the interest rate is moving. and
Oh, it's
so-
gonna go up, yeah.
Yeah, and so if we borrow now, then we're in at a lower interest rate and we just sit on it for, I mean, and we only
Yeah.
pay the interest for that for 6 months anyway, so. I mean, I've just tried my best to provide several options, borrowing from 700,000 to the full 2 million something. And the latest one that, you know, when Dave and I sat down with Adam from C2AE and we went through our massive capital improvement plan. We kind of just broke it out by certain categories and big jobs versus, you know, chip seal and things like that. And we kind of landed on $1 million would probably be our best bet to borrow and be able to get the most done.
The one that's 1,700,000, the
Yeah.
one sheet. And that's 3% interest too. That's lower than the 3.5.
Oh, I don't know. The one I'm looking at, there's one that's $1 million.
Okay, there's one that
Back
says
page.
1,010,000.
Go to the back, one of the back pages.
Oh, so this
10
one
years or
is,
12 years.
this
And
is,
then, because I go from 700,000, nothing on my back pages, to 1,010,000. 1,010,000.
Yeah, we keep going.
oh, I see the
And
million.
then
time.
there's 2
Go
million,
past the 2.
2 million, 2.25, 2.5.
then
So the
one.
million-
Oh, 1 million at the very end.
Yeah, the 1,010,000 is, that one is just the Act 51 money. That would be borrowed on. And that, the last column that says it's $31,000 in the hole, that means it's borrowing more than we are getting in Act 51 money.
The 1,010,000 though, compared to the million, you're gonna lose half a point on the interest rate.
Right, but
And for the
that's,
extra 10,000,
right, but that would be borrowing this year. That's why.
okay,
And the new one, the million one is with us getting the money, say, next to April.
but if you were to get it now, you'd probably save overall with the
Right,
interest
for
rate.
sure, yeah. I
So the
mean,
1,010,000 for 3% would probably be your best deal if you wanted 1 million,
Right,
because the other million's 3.5.
well, these are all just like, I mean,
Yeah.
we can redo them. Like, if you guys decide you want to do it now or in the next few months, then I could have them redo the million with us getting the money in, you know, August, whatever.
With what's going on financially, you're probably best to do it now, because interest
So-
rates are only gonna go up and money's gonna get tighter on loans.
Yeah,
So,
problem is, if we do the million in the back sheets, we don't have to make a payment until next April 2023. If we do the million 10, we have to make an $80,000 payment.
in July.
Yeah,
But it's next April 1st, so
no, that'd be this July 1st.
says principal due April 1st,
Of 2023.
yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I see
okay.
what you're saying, but it would be April. We would, if we borrow the money now, we would have like an interest payment due in the fall, and then we wouldn't pay principal until next spring. And then the same thing would happen with this, is that we wouldn't pay until 2024 on the one that if we don't borrow until next year.
So what does Budzinski and Company recommend, or don't they?
Well, they didn't, I asked them to run me numbers based on our transportation funds. And that's that 51 money, it's the Michigan Transportation Fund, so that's what, when it says MTF, that's what that means. And then we just had to come up with our projects, which, this capital improvement plan is our projects, and then we broke it out by year.
Did you guys, you two, go through, what would you decide to do first? Like, what is most important? You guys already figured that out?
It's already prioritized in this plan.
Right.
Yep, so we kind of followed this plan, and I think we might have looked at a couple things that we thought maybe we should move up or down.
Yeah.
But we kind of followed this plan that was laid out in December, when we got this
Yeah.
capital improvement plan. So, and that was this was 2022 construction estimated, which Dave and I are saying that's probably all going to shift a little
Got
bit.
it.
But we are gonna do some of the crack sealing this summer, and then maybe some chip fog if we can get.
I mean, I definitely think that obviously 700,000, that's a lot of money, but it really wouldn't cover anything. Really.
It wouldn't get our
It
first,
would, yeah, it would be like nothing. So, I mean, if we up it, then that at least gives us something to work with for 3 years.
and like that, I totaled up those roads, and that's 2.5 million. Just to do the roads.
And that's not including the road in the little apartment complex that they want.
It's in there,
Or Shiawassee?
right, or Shiawassee's in there, but I don't remember what year. 2026 is when Shiawassee is in there, so. And the total, if we did the sidewalks and the parking lots, we're at 3.5 million.
Okay, so what do we need? Nothing
I
right
guess,
now?
well, I just kind of wanted to talk through this and get it in your brains and figure out what we want to
Have you
discuss.
talked to Mike?
Figure out what we want to discuss with city council, and then kind of either move forward and we can borrow the money now, but I don't know that we're going to be able to schedule a contractor until next. Right? I mean, that's our.
Right.
I say don't jump into anything. Obviously, you want to look it over. And figure it out. That's me.
But I think we got, I mean.
With the interest rates, so we might be best to lock ourselves in now, because interest rates are
That's
only
true.
going up.
But even if.
I mean, the
Even
Fed
if
just
we take
raised them,
another
they're gonna
month or
raise them
two.
again.
I mean, what did they estimate, an extra 0.5% if we go from this year to next year? So right now, they're saying 3%. They're saying if we go to 2023, it could be 3.5.
Yeah,
I mean,
'cause
so that's why I gave you all of this to, think about.
Yeah, but we're paying interest for a year on money we can't spend.
Right.
So there's that.
I mean, that's at least for
We're
6 months.
paying interest just to let it sit in the bank account because we've got no contract.
Or you're
So
paying
that's-
And
extra
that's 2 years
0.5%.
of work.
But at the same time, what you're gonna pay back and the higher interest you're gonna have to pay on the loan,
Yeah.
you're better getting the 3% one now.
Yeah, maybe.
Because
break
down the
even.
road, it could be more than 3.5, it could
A
be
0.5%
4.
over 10 or 12 years is probably, I mean, you can look at that $1 million one and get a pretty good idea of the difference between we're gonna pay back. Oh, where's the 1,000,010?
That half percent's a lot. And do we get interest if it sits in the bank? Do we collect any
It was-
interest?
No, well, you
Okay.
can, but
The account we have doesn't do
10,000?
it.
you can't get much interest, like you can't, you're not.
Yeah, there's hardly any now, but I mean, I don't know if we were at least
We
getting
could,
something.
we
off
would
of
be
it.
able to earn interest on it, but you're only allowed to earn so much interest,
Okay.
and then it's illegal.
I didn't know if that would negate what we were paying that month.
So they
that
don't
wasn't
want you
being
to
used.
borrow money to.
Yeah, it's kind of a wash because the total P and I requirements in the 1,010,000, you're gonna wind up paying 1.2 million for that. And for the other million, it's 1.2. And for the other one, it's 1.2. So it's kind of a wash. when you-
It kind of is.
Yeah, when you get done paying for the principal and interest, it's gonna be 1.2 million.
But you're paying,
So-
in one of them, you're paying back $120,000 for.
And correct me if I'm wrong,
140.
one of them would be really technically only 2 years worth of work that we would be able to use, right? And the other one would be 3, because it would be later.
Right,
So,
but we still, our payback time is 10 or 12 years, depending on which one you guys want to pick. If you want a little lower payment, we can go 12 years. So, and I guess I just kind of want to know what everybody wants to know before we get into this, so. I mean, what other information do you want from me? Where do you, what?
My thought, for what it's worth, the 2 cents, is that whatever we decide to do, we act prudently and quickly because interest rates are only going to go up. The Fed's already raised interest rates. They've already signaled that, I read my Wall Street Journal every day. They've already signaled they're going to raise them again because of inflation, which has put the market into that downward spin last week. So if we're going to lock in on interest rates, I would suggest we do that sooner than later because they're only going up. So that's my 2 cents.
But you can see what you would pay in interest that first year if you just sat on the money, you pay about $5,000 and maybe $20,000 in interest, right? Because October 1st would be 5, and then the next interest would be in April, it'd be 15,000. You paid $20,000 in interest on money that you weren't, you just can't use yet.
right.
Okay, so we don't need anything, right?
I don't need action until you guys are ready for me to pull the trigger on this. So, and then we'll have to go through that process that is laid out in this memo.
Might be a good idea to throw it to council tonight, then let full council discuss
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I mean, I
well-
understand his point, and that if we want to pull the trigger, we gotta at least start,
It's because from what I've read, interest rates are only going up. And the Fed's already raised them, they're gonna raise them again.
Because this says that, we'll have to adopt a notice of intent. And then we have the right of referendum, which is 45 days. And then we adopt the resolution. So this is 3 meetings probably, plus the 45-day period in there. And then we have to put it out to bid. So we're looking at June, July, August. We wouldn't have the money to September or October probably.
which then we could start looking for people and then jump right on it. Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, we'll
Do
throw-
something now.
we'll Throw it out to full council.
And then obviously I would give them all of this information, so.
You guys will
It's-
get it.
It's not an agenda item, right?
Not this week.
Not this
Good
month.
golly.
It's a big one though. But no, it is not, because I wanted to start with you guys. So, and then we'll go from there.
So next council, not this council meeting, but June, we'll discuss it with full council then.
You guys can discuss it
Yeah, we
tonight,
can discuss it tonight. but
Discuss
it's
it.
not
Bring it up
agenda.
tonight.
Under finance committee.
Okay.
and then we can take the, if everybody's interested in moving forward, we'll get everybody the options, and then we can talk about it in June, and then take the right of referendum in July.
Speak.
Sure.
You get 2 meetings because of budgets in May and then 2 again in June usually.
No, I need
You have
2
a
in May,
Special meeting, that 5-minute meeting.
in May. Yeah,
Okay,
and sometimes in June, if I don't get the budget adjustments taken care of on time.
so that might be 4 meetings in that short period. Can you add, just to hurry it up if you need to?
Probably.
So,
That's all I had for you guys, unless you want. to
Okay,
go.
well, we'll present it to council and they can start noodling it.
And then if you want to go over anything else, got any questions on the council agenda?
No, just what do we need to do for budget?
The budget is ready unless anybody has any questions.
I mean, process wise, do we need to have another public hearing or do we just adopt?
Tonight is the public hearing,
Okay,
and then next month,
Schedule the meeting.
Yep.
to approve.
okay.
so, yeah, we have to have schedule that meeting to approve the budget.
Okay,
And there's a lot of stuff on the agenda, but most of it's pretty.
A lot of
quick.
it seems like just quick stuff like
Yeah.
this, yes, maybe.
yeah, approve.
Adopt, approve, adopt. Public hearing.
Open,
So,
close.
Chief-
And then other, who knows what she'll put on there. No, I'm just kidding.
so Chief, they got a TA, right? Tentative agreement, they've.
Correct. For a
Okay.
3-year contract, the only thing that really was open in the contract was the wages. And that was just the $1 per hour increase each year for the 3 years. And the rest of the contract stays the same.
Okay, so if we adopt, then you're good, right, with your team?
Yep.
Then we gotta pay you and Casler some money tonight too.
Oh,
Good enough.
just kidding.
Sure. So that's why you're both here.
They just want to make sure.
Man, he's got a gun.
Wherever I go.
To adjourn.
Okay, if there's no more others, no more business, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
She moved.
I moved to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.